to the Download Youth Ministry web show /podcast, our very last podcast web show without great sound.
Don't make
great sound. We've made promises
for my homies.
For one more time, pull out the boxes. We've bought the equipment.
This microphone right
We
here.
have 4 of these microphones.
We're
We
gonna
have
be
a
using this.
input mixer, and we're so excited. The day's coming, but the
pretty
guy.
exciting.
Rich baritone sounds of our sultry voices.
Legendary sound.
Legendary.
Unmatched.
X12 for USB.
So the person who got us these was all excited to set them up, and then he got a real job. So we had to just. Our schedule is rough for all of us to be together. So who is all of us? I'm Doug Fields. This is Katie, the Queen Edwards, junior high pastor at Saddleback Church. Josh, this high school pastor.
Friend to all.
Frontal.
At Saddleback Church.
Poster.
Jason Carson, the one who has a real job, is called a senior pastor.
Ooh,
Yeah.
on time
And,
this week, which is exciting.
This is episode 279.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Why are we a web show and a podcast?
Well, that's good.
That's a good
Nice,
word.
Katie.
You wanna
Nice,
save it? You wanna
Katie.
save
We
it
were
for
all
the-
thinking it.
Save it for the show.
Someone
Wait,
said
we are.
We mentioned it a few weeks back that we weren't ready. Josh says, are we ready to make the announcement? Josh and I have been, when we started, we were a podcast.
Yeah.
So episode 00, for those of you who may not know this, we didn't start with episode 1. We started with 00.
So technically, this is
Unconventional.
280.
Yeah. So we went a long time with a podcast.
Yeah.
And then we saw that a lot of people were watching online and watching, so we said let's call it a web show.
Yeah, it was more like a online TV channel feel to it all, whatever.
Yeah. And then
And podcasting honestly fell out of favor. Podcasts as a social, they weren't popular anymore. People weren't listening to podcasts.
Yeah.
And
now they are.
And they're back.
Well, we're an award.
And they're back!
They're back.
We
and so are
actually we were not an award-winning web show, but we were an award-winning podcast.
Yeah.
So when we won our award, it was as a podcast.
So technically, we're an award-winning pod show, webcast pod show.
So going back to
with another
pod
domain
show.
called
Pod show.
FromMilkToMeat.com.
That was great.
We won another award. All these awards are coming in now. That
Anyway,
website.
here's the deal. This is a theme show. We do this every once in a while, and we mostly do it when we don't have good questions. So let's send in your good questions to webshow
There's a little bit of real talk right in the middle of this, right there.
at
Like,
downloadyouthministry.com. That's webshow at downloadyouthministry.com. The next one, 280, will have great sound. Thanks to our
sound.
primary sponsors, Orange.
Ta-da.
Visit theorangeconference.com. Join us at any of the Orange Tour dates.
Yeah, check out their XP3 students curriculum, which we're using in our high school ministry this year. Very
Yep,
excited.
and we will also be at the Orange Conference at the end of April.
Yeah, and you're at a few of the tour events too, right?
Yeah,
Or
Kansas
down-
City, Charlotte,
so you're touring.
Nashville. I'm a touring.
He's
You're
on tour.
touring.
Not only as the
Touring.
founder of the Supertones,
Wow.
a touring guy, but I'm also a
You
touring
are-
guy.
We're in the presence
on
of
the
greatness.
tour.
Yeah.
This is awesome.
Do you have a tour bus, Doug?
And we're here. We're
It's
just
a-
here.
We
I have
do
a-
youth
I have a
ministry.
tour,
We do
a
the
tour
youth
trailer.
ministry stuff.
Yeah, we actually the youth ministry. What? Sorry.
It's not well.
Uh,
Brought to
Big shoes.
Junior
Big
high
shoes.
does. Junior high does.
Big shoes.
Also brought to you by our sponsors at YM360. If you want
Yes.
to check out their incredible camps they've got going on, great new camps. 9 dates, 6 locations. Go to generatestudents.com. They have Generate Camp, gospel-centered camp.
there you go. They're
Okay.
generating.
Not gospel to the left, not gospel to the right. It's gospel-centered.
Right in the middle.
Camps. Yep. Yep.
Generate camp.
Middle
And
Return.
also, this is what a Leader Trek's book
Resources.
looks
Great
like.
example of the high quality and awesome resources
Yes.
from our
Yeah.
friends Leader Track.
And they have 2 great devotionals that they want to get in the hands of youth workers called I Am a Servant and I Am a Disciple.
There you go.
And you can order those online at leadertrex.com, or you can go to one of their refuel retreats. And they'll
Absolutely.
probably give you everything. One of everything.
Tools for the journey,
You
baby.
don't even need a coupon code or anything. They'll just give it to you.
I think if
There
you go to the
Yeah.
refuel
Yep.
retreat, you
I like
get
it.
one of
Go
everything.
Leader Track.
Could
That's
they
great.
get a coupon?
Fact check that before you sign up. But
YM360
Azusa Pacific University is one of our sponsors
Yes,
that we
thank
love.
you, APU. If you're considering a youth ministry master's degree or even undergrad degree, check out Azusa Pacific.
All right, so here's the theme show.
Azusa
Small
Pacific.
group best practices.
Wow,
Small
okay.
group best practices. Rapid
Who's
fire.
asking the questions?
Rapid fire.
I'll ask the question.
Okay.
Okay, Katie. Actually,
I'll
start
ask
the
the
clock.
question.
Okay.
Yeah,
Ready?
who's the host of the show?
Well,
Josh
who's
is supposed to be.
Who's the co-host?
Yeah.
You're the co-host.
So
with me,
here's the
Doug.
questions. Why do small groups?
Oh, I like that. All right.
Katie, go.
I think.
The deep breath, like.
I know. Oh my gosh, this is such a big question. I think small groups is just one of the best ways to disciple students. I think that's definitely what Jesus modeled, was a small group model of journeying through life with younger people. And so I think for youth ministry, it's just, for us, it's the backbone of our youth ministry. It's where relationships are formed, and those relationships lead to deeper conversations, and those conversations lead to deeper relationship and love for Jesus. So it's just where we see students.
That's all.
Yeah. So no, NBD. It's just a really powerful tool to disciple students.
Okay, but what if somebody's listening who says, or watching?
Mm-hmm.
That little face, like, oh hi, I forgot you were there.
And they say, well, we're already a small youth group.
Right.
What do you say?
Well, I think that, to me, a small group is, based on relationships. So you could probably always break down your group just a little bit. So if you had a group of, let's say, 8 students in your youth ministry, and you had a few seniors, a few juniors, guys and girls, you could probably break down those 8 into gender or, even grade or something like that. I mean, that's a logistical answer, but I think, within that breakdown, you could break down a smaller group still and have a mentoring, discipleship type relationship with 2 or 3 in your group.
Well, I think there is a different relationship between even speaking to a crowd of 12 students. That's differently than how you interact with 3.
Sure.
And so it's different. Your tone of voice is different. What you would say to 3 inner circle students is very different than what you would say to a youth group. I think the purpose of it is different, but also the tone, the permissions that are given. Like when a student is in your small group, you have permission to come strong. You have permission to really speak in it. And in a youth group setting, you have some permissions, but there's also like, we're just getting to know you, this is entry level, or whatever that might look like in your context. I think the permissions are totally different.
It's intimate too. You're talking to you, like you said. If it's with 3 people, each of those 3 get listened to. Like you can't allow that every time there's 12 or 15 or 20 or 30, right? But if there's 3 or 5 in a small group setting, that's what I would encourage people with, just real small groups. That you got to start somewhere, and it's okay. We're starting. This is exciting. We're starting tonight. Encounter is starting a youth group tonight.
What?
Yes.
That's kind of big news. Dude.
So we have tough numbers, super tough. Most of the kids are upper high school class and young college, and then there's just a small handful of like junior hires. So the junior hire is going to meet at one house, and the upper class high school, we don't have any freshmen or sophomores, so it's like some juniors and seniors and like a few freshmen and sophomore in college. And so
fun for them.
So they're gonna be able to break out in 2, but the junior high group is meeting at a house. I think I talked to our leader today. There's only 3 kids coming, so it's tough, right? Because you're different genders and maybe they aren't even best friends. But you got to start somewhere. We decided as a church this is super important to us, and we want to have something for these kids to disciple them, and not just because it's small numbers. So there's a place to grow, and these 3 kids, we give them vision to invite their friends, and this is a safe group to grow in. And everything.
So would you try to break those 3 kids into small groups?
No, that's too small.
Mentoring hours.
No, but I mean, if you can get a group of 5 or 6 where you can say, okay, guys and girls, we're going to take you to separate rooms and have a discussion based on that. That's good too.
Yeah.
Let's rank this in order of most importance. Okay, Josh, you got to go first on this.
Okay, I'm in.
I'll wait till you're done texting.
I have a student who is
suicidal.
Yeah, that was the only reason I'd ever break the show. He's good now. I just sent him a text.
Good, you can
joke
about something.
And we're back.
Doug just edited the show right there.
Okay, which is more important? You got to rank these important. You can't say they're the same. Ready?
Okay.
Here it is. 3 things.
Okay.
With small groups,
All
what's
right.
the most important part of small group? Is it the empowerment that the volunteer feels as a pastor shepherd of that group of kids?
Okay.
Is it the discipleship that happens within the small group? Or is it the relational connection that happens within the group?
Wow.
You gotta put those in order.
wow.
You have to choose one?
Yeah. No, you
Well,
have to put them in order.
yeah,
1,
you
2,
put them
3.
in order.
Okay. I would say In my ministry context, or personal opinion, I think relational ministry is number one. I think that's the whole purpose of the largest purpose, most important one to me. We don't even call them small groups, we call them life groups. We want to share life together in relationships together. That feels number one far and away. Number two, I get it. Number two, I would say the empowerment of the leader, the mentoring, the pastoring that goes on, especially let's say you have a youth ministry of 30 students. You've got to give that title of pastor away. You've got to allow other people to mentor and pastor your students. And so I think that is gigantic. Discipleship, obviously very important, and it is certainly part of what we do.
Dead last.
But it is third of three for me. We have a great curriculum. It has a video component. It's awesome. Parent email. We're partnering. I'm in.
XP3.
It's good stuff. I'm in. But I'm also going, you know what? It is the third of three of that list, if I have to put it in order.
So what I hear you saying is you don't value the Bible. That's kind of what I was hearing.
That's what I heard.
That's exactly what it was.
All right,
exactly
Katie, how would you correct his theology? I mean, what do you think?
Yeah, I don't know that I'm correcting it. I think I think you have to start with the empowerment of leaders, because they are the only way to build relationships that leads to discipleship. So to me, that would be the order, would be beginning with leaders and praying for the right leaders, not just any leaders. So finding people who are in a healthy place to disciple, who can be coached and trained. And then I think relationships is the first step, and it leads naturally to discipleship.
Okay, great. What do you say?
Yeah. We all have different answers.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Number one for me, discipleship, hands down. I think it's the Great Commission. It's the whole purpose of our lives on earth, right? So I would put discipleship at the top, because if you make disciples, I think the reason why we do any ministry is make disciples. So I'd put that at one. Second, I would put, this is where I get tough, but I would probably put, believe it or not, I'd put empowering leaders second, and relationships last. Empowering leaders, because if you are giving leaders an opportunity to disciple other people, their faith is going strong and deep roots, and you're building the full all-around disciple, and they own it, and you're multiplying all kinds of, and then the relationships, super important, but that I feel like that is going to totally come out of discipleship, totally come out of empowering a leader with that relationship. So
don't you think relationship though would lead to discipleship? Like I kind of feel
and evangelism. But if we're talking, why do we do small groups? What's the bottom line of what are we after?
Yeah,
I would say discipleship first. Yeah.
I would say I don't know
great,
if you can get to discipleship without a relationship. Maybe.
But it's not. But
This is an award-winning question.
It is. It's funny. Can I say though?
Yeah.
None of us are saying that third place doesn't matter.
No, for sure.
Like
Right,
relationships are totally. We just have to rank it.
Yeah, for sure.
right. That's the game that we're playing, the sick, sordid game that Doug has
Yeah.
created for us.
Right.
So,
Well,
Okay,
if you want to know the real answer, go to FromMilkToMeat.com and you'll see my answer. Okay, co-ed or small groups, or co-ed or same sex?
Great question.
I like same-sex groups, just because I feel like in middle school, so I've spent all my time in middle school. I think in middle school and junior hires for sure, the same gender, because of all of the development stuff that they're each going through, I think it creates a safer environment to be awkward and weird in your gender. And I think too, because of all of the stuff that's coming on the scene with guy-girl stuff, I think it just makes more sense in junior high specifically to be same sex.
Yeah, I would agree with that. We're same gender group for sure. We have guys groups and girls groups, and then on top of that, I do think it is important to make sure that groups do get together. There's some social
Great
fun activities,
community,
great
yeah.
community. So it's kind of a yes, but just make sure that there's also that great mixed time
Mixed
together
stuff.
as well.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Okay.
Oh, we agree.
First time I realized that,
Nice.
it
This
was
is awesome. We're agreeing.
I was young in youth ministry. I was with a group of junior hires, and I was a small group, and it was co-ed, and I was leading it, and I'd done most of my ministry at that point with high school kids, so I'm a junior high small group. We're sitting in a circle. People were sitting cross-legged the whole bit. There's a junior high boy. I still remember exactly where we're sitting. I mean, it's been maybe 25 years ago. And he looks at this girl, she's wearing a skirt, and he goes, I can see your underwear! Right in the small group.
No way.
And I
sharing
thought,
intimate things.
that is the
That's
difference
why.
between high school and junior high right there.
That's
Because
it.
if that would have happened in high school, no guy would have said that.
No.
They'd have been
Just staring.
just
Creepily
looking
looking.
the whole
Sounds like something my
time.
4-year-old son would say.
Yeah.
Seriously.
But the same sex thing, only if you can, right?
Yeah.
Like in my case with 3 kids.
Yeah.
And I
How do
don't
you-
think it can't work co-ed. I think depending on the structure that you create, or you know, if there's like, we're gonna study this together, we're doing this, you know, this small group Bible study, and it's maybe an 8-week study, and so you're doing that all together. I think there are some small group structures where it works. You know, you do that with high schoolers, where you do like a study type thing, and it's co-ed.
We do. It's co-ed.
You know,
it's
it's
great.
not meant to be like sharing or intimate kind of next level mentoring or decide, but it's a cool
Exactly.
small group setting.
Yeah,
So
exactly,
it can work.
Okay, can high school kids be small group leaders?
Like in high school or in junior high or what?
Both.
Yeah.
I love high school leaders for junior high. Typically for us, we pair them up with someone who is at least a sophomore in college or older, so that they're paired up with someone who has at least done it for a year, or maybe just a little bit further down the road.
What's the entry level?
The
Junior?
entry level is a senior in high
okay.
school. And that's really, you know, based on our junior year in our school system is really, really tough.
Just
It's not that I
aggressive,
don't think
yeah.
they're not ready, but I just think it's a tough year for them to commit, and small group leader is one of the biggest commitments you can make in our ministry. So I want to set them up to win, to lead, and I know they're juggling high school, and they have to be in a high school small group. So that's a really, really high level
A
commitment
lot
for a
of nights out
senior.
of the week. If you're in
Yeah.
sports, it's over. Yeah.
So, you know, want to make sure that they're in a place where, and so having an older leader alongside of them, a veteran, just helps them win.
Yeah.
But
No,
they're
that's good.
great. Our students love them.
Mhm.
So they bring a great energy. They love, you know, they are lovers of our youth ministry, you know, high school ministry. A lot of them came through our junior high ministry, so they love some of the traditions and stuff. It's fun. They bring cool energy. So
We started them a little earlier. We started them at the end of their sophomore year, like kind of in that second semester.
Wow.
We did applications, a full interview process, and then got them going, full training, got them going going right into the summer before their junior year. And so we would always have them be an assistant. They wouldn't be a leader for at least a year, and it was always in junior high. So we didn't have anyone in the same. How do you say
peer
this?
leading.
We didn't ever have a high school student as a high school leader in any way, shape, or form. We kept that separate, and we just made sure that it was always, if you're a high schooler, you're a junior high leader, and then even if you're just ready to graduate, then you can move into high school ministry. Yeah.
Okay.
So
Let's go. Yeah. I
Very
agree.
good.
I agree.
That's where I found my call in youth ministry, was in being a small group leader of junior hires.
Me too.
what year?
My junior year.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. That wasn't in any sport, so it was easy for him to.
Says the one person at the table who was homeschooled.
Oh man, I was mentored every day by my mom. Okay.
Discipleship through relationship.
It was discipleship through relationship, empowering mothers.
From
milk to
milk
me,
to me.
baby.
There's
Alright.
no way that just happened. Oh my goodness.
Am I blushing?
I'm
Because that felt
dying.
like a blush.
Hey.
Wow.
Oh
No,
man.
okay.
Okay, small groups are so great. Let's keep.
What about
Sorry.
So we've got a junior high pastor in Katie. We've got a high school pastor in Josh, and let's talk about a graduated system of leaders. So kind of the idea, what I'm thinking, Katie, small group leaders do 7th grade,
Mm-hmm.
8th grade, but then they would go to 9th grade and join Josh's team,
Yeah.
become small group leaders, and just go through the system with him. Agree with that? Disagree with it?
Yeah,
Agree.
absolutely, wholeheartedly agree.
Yeah.
There's nothing better than getting a veteran leader for a couple years that moves up into high school. It is a wonderful gift to our ministry. Doesn't always work that way.
Mhm.
There's some leaders that would consider themselves, I just love junior high, I know how critical this is, and they might, re-up or come back later or whatever. But it is a wonderful thing when they just, we ask for a minimum commitment of a year, So we certainly aren't asking for a 6-year, junior, 7-year, junior high to graduation.
But that's the dream.
It is the dream, and it happens fairly often. It is a beautiful. It is a beautiful.
I think I sent up maybe about 25% of my volunteer team to HSM this school year. So we're getting ready to launch small groups, and as hard as it is to say goodbye to people that you've been working with for 2 years,
who are great volunteers.
Who are great volunteers.
Yes.
It's also really awesome to know that I want our students to be cared for after they leave junior high. I care about Josh and his ministry and his team, and I think I care about his freshmen, and so these leaders are going to help solidify freshman small groups, and I need to care about that as the junior high pastor.
Well, it eases the transition.
Mm-hmm.
That jump in our ministry from junior high to high school, and many churches, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so it eases that transition of, okay, everything else has changed in my life.
Yeah.
Going to a different school, it's a bigger school and chaotic, and I don't know if I'm gonna make all this stuff. To like, okay, I have Matt is in my life. He's my life group leader. I'm gonna make it. So I think having those people move up is huge.
And I can usually identify who I think is junior high, and I think there are a few of those people who I will go to and have a personal conversation with and say, you need to stay because this is who you are, this is where you belong, and be a part of our core leadership team in junior high because you're just junior high. So I definitely have a few of those conversations a year, but that's a handful. But the rest, I'm more than willing and totally am a champion for people moving on.
And if you have like a meh leader, you only have them for 2 years. And you can
I
get rid
wish
of them.
Children's was a champion to send leaders.
Children's just seem to hold on to their leaders a little bit.
It's not as much.
Yeah,
But
so really, if she's sending you 25% of her leaders, you ought to be sending her a bunch of your seniors in high school.
And we are. We're sending a ton of seniors to serve as life group leaders.
we have a huge percentage of high school
I
students
actually
involved
saw
with
a
us.
fun picture on your Instagram, and I was like, "That's my. These are our kids." Like, it's so fun to watch them go. They get it, and they become such rabid junior high fans. And even we have multiple services, and the students have to attend a youth group service in order to serve in JHM. And what's fun is I see them all.
JHM is junior high ministry.
Yes.
Junior
Well, I
ministry,
just want to encourage rewinding.
Yeah.
But they'll wear their shirts to youth group, and they're like, as soon as I'm done here, I'm going to go over and serve in junior high ministry.
Cool. It's
One of my
really fun.
favorite things.
Yeah, we have a large number of high school students, and they are really champions for that too. They did these cards at summer camp, just kind of next step cards, and that had all different kinds of challenges and encouragements for students. And one of them was check out serving in junior high ministry, which was so cool. And so we got a bunch of students who came home from camp and came and said,
ready to go.
HSM said I should check out junior high ministry. I'm like, okay, let's check it out. So that I love our partnership in that.
That's great. That's beautiful. Okay, let's talk curriculum. Curriculum. What's the best way to use curriculum in small groups?
XP3 from Orange. Next question. Thank you again to our sponsor.
Primary sponsor.
That's right. Oh, we've done a ton of different curriculums. We've done everybody on the same exact week. We have done where here's a whole selection of curriculum picked from this pool or sandbox or whatever. We've even at times let some of our really veteran leaders maybe pick a book that they'd like to study as a group and then do a book study together. So I would say we've done it about every way that I think you could do it. Ours is separate from our youth group program, so our small group curriculum is a separate track of discipleship, number 3 for me. And everybody's on the same week. Everybody's on the same lesson. I send out an email to parents on Friday. It says this is what the lesson is about next week. Here's what youth group is about this week. Just try to build that partnership. Here's some discussion questions. It's not too long. It's not crazy. And I think it's valuable that the whole ministry moves in the same direction. So that's where we're at today. I might say something different 100 shows ago or 100 shows from now.
Have you found one of those that has been the least effective?
I think everybody on their own page is pretty rough.
Yeah.
I just feel like I don't even know what's going on. And if a student comes to me and is like, this was great, or I don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
So to me, that was short-lived experiment.
Yeah. Too. Yeah. What about you, Katie?
Yeah, we've tried a lot of stuff too, so I'm not a fan of the gigantic menu. I feel like for me there's kind of a little bit of a 50-50. There's 50% of the things that I really want to make sure every small group goes through. And then I also want to give them some freedom depending on who their group is. Because of the spectrum of 7th and 8th grade, girls and guys, I just think there are some different levels of things. So I want to give them some freedom to do some felt need stuff in their small groups and talk about stuff and topics and things like that. But then there's 50% of our curriculum that is foundational stuff I want them to go through, a gospel study I want them to go through, the purposes, some of those things that I really want each and every group to go through. So simpler the better. I don't like curriculum that's 8 pages long and has emails to send out and this to send out and this. I mean, it's so overwhelming for volunteers. So I really pared back. All of our curriculum is 1 to 1.5 pages. It's very conversational driven. One great key passage to study. There's not a ton of look this up, answer this question, look this up, because I just feel like for junior high, the more classroom we make it, the tougher it is for them to engage. So trying to make it experiential, tangible, and conversational, but really simple for volunteers. So 1 page, 1.5 pages. You're not overwhelmed with 80 questions about this topic. So I like simple stuff.
That's good.
Well, even the XP3 stuff is so comprehensive that we have pared it down for our needs as well. That's obviously one of the strengths.
Designed for a little bit of a different model, so you had to kind of take what
we took what we wanted, cut it back a little bit, and I'm stoked about it.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll know really soon how it's doing. So will you, Jason? Aren't you using XP3 or
for kids?
Orange Kids? What are you?
I mean, they're just starting right now. They're doing
cool.
They're doing the college age group is doing a different kind of solo curriculum for 6 weeks.
Cool. Something by Judah Smith or whatever.
No, is their own planning. Yeah. But when I had youth groups and leaders, I actually did give them we did tons of training with this. This was way more work. I mean, it was a lot of work, but we did training and they would submit their lessons. I asked the leaders plan their lessons a week in advance. And then so they did them all, and it was all tailored to their kids. So it was by grade and by gender. And so, we gave them some guidelines, but really there was leaders probably, multiple times a year where I had to pull them aside and say, yeah, okay, I saw your lesson. You taught the same thing 3 times in a row. We want to give them a big spectrum and, the whole range and stuff. So it takes a lot of...
You can't only teach on sex in small group.
Right.
You have to,
Yeah.
You have to broaden out.
Everything always goes back there when you're with high school boys.
Yeah.
So.
It's true.
But it was cool because it really trained them too to
that's cool.
to study the word and plan lessons, and they really got a lot of fulfillment.
That's great.
You always had leaders that didn't do it right.
I know. Jason, why don't you plan a church here?
Yeah.
Just join our team.
Let's do this. Let's talk about how do you, for a small group to be effective, you have to have a pastor / shepherd / heart / caring body / whatever you want to call that person, that caring adult leader. How do you set them up to win in a small group setting?
That's great. That's a good question.
Yeah.
Jason, you're the best at it.
No, I'm not. Boy, I mean, everything you just said, you've got to emphasize and re-emphasize and re-emphasize. There needs to be training. There needs to be meetings about showing them how to do it, by example and everything else. I'll tell you, I remember I had a kid who he worked with junior hires. He was a freshman in college, and he was always violent with them, always putting them in headlocks and stuff. So this mom freaked out that you're a leader, put my kid in a headlock and all this stuff. And he's just being guys and rougher, but it was way too rough. And you just had to tell him what is wrong? And his response was, well, I don't really like kids. And I said, and you're a leader of junior high boys, what's wrong with you? And so I had to let him go, obviously, because he was a totally wrong fit. But honestly, you just gotta set him up to win, give him the tools, continue to just love them, encourage them. I mean, Katie, you're the best at encouraging your volunteers and making them feel appreciated to stick and all that stuff. But boy, setting them up to win. Don't give them too much too fast. Make sure they got the DNA of your program. Make sure that they have the heartbeat of the church, that they care for the church, that they're at least trusted enough to teach and to lead and represent your ministry, I think.
Yeah,
That was great.
Great.
Yeah, covered it all right
That was
there.
great.
I would throw out one more thing. Just some type of a coach or mentor, maybe a veteran leader, somebody who can come alongside him and go, man, I've done this before, I've felt that before, I've made that mistake before, whatever it is. Just someone who's really accessible and a pro who can walk them through that stuff.
I think being really clear about what is the role that you want them to play and not having 18 things on that list. You know, we want you to show up each week. We want you to prep Bible study each week. We want you to follow up with students each week, and you know, so just giving them like 3 or 4 things that this is the role of small group leader.
I like it.
And then here's just some expectations. You know, we're expecting you to share life with students, you know, and be relational. We're expecting, you know, you to commit for the year, you know. So I think just role and expectations, those 2 things, being really clear with that. I think it's tough when volunteers sign up for something. So we need small group leaders. We need small group leaders. It's super easy. It's super fun. It's it's just an hour a week.
Yeah.
So I think just being really upfront with guys. Here's the role, and it is only 2 hours a week, but it's that 2 hours is meaningful, and there's some things that are going to go around that 2 hours to make that 2 hours great. So just being upfront about expectations and role, I think is important.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the relational expectations that you place on a small group leader. So when you say 2 hours, that's pretty much the time they're with them. So is there more than that? Because if I'm hanging with somebody, or what are your expectations for small group leaders beyond the night?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I am going to teach that this Saturday to our leaders. We have life group leader training on Saturday morning, and so I have come up with a vague term. Maybe it should be better. I just call it small groups plus. So small groups is that 2 hours on Tuesday or Wednesday or whatever, and the plus is anything else you can do. And if it's huge, like you go to their water polo game, great. If it's small, like sending them a text of encouragement, it's plus. It's more than the 2 hours. And if you've got 8 kids that can add up, and it can be a ton. So I don't want to give them this weighty expectation of you've got to be at every game all season, every week. How about a game in the second half? That would be awesome.
Yeah.
Or, go to their school play or their comedy sports competition or whatever is going on, whatever's important to your student. But honestly, be there when they go through a crisis or break up with their boyfriend or girlfriend, or send them an encouraging note. Anything beyond the small group time is incredible.
Yeah. Show up at a graduation.
Yeah.
Send them a birthday card if you can.
Graduations are rough.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
But
we have some that are
well,
so
you guys
full.
have so many.
They're like, we can't fit any more people, and I'm like, I wish I could be there.
So you don't have any more
And
tickets?
I don't wish I
Oh,
could.
man.
Oh, too bad.
Well, I always had my leaders. I absolutely, like I said, if you're a leader, I almost demand, when you put that as a leader, they're volunteers, you can't demand anything. But I almost demand that they at least have one point of contact with them outside of church every week, no matter what.
Wow.
So if that's a text message, that's the bare minimum. Yeah. So that's the lowest you can do. And I tell them, not a group text, something. And I'm trying to teach them to be shepherds, right? So I'm trying to not just like, hey, make sure you're at church this week. I'm teaching on this. Not an info bulletin announcement, right? but we're looking more for like some kind of relational. Hey, how you doing, man? How can I pray for you? Just thinking about you today, praying God's power works through you. And remember that kid you're trying to reach out to? I'm praying for you. How's that going? Something personal. So that's bare minimum, but I asked them as I trained them and as I taught them, I said, can you do a personal phone call every week? And that's like the next level. Wow. And if they could do that to every kid in their small group, which is a huge commitment, that would be just so over the top. And those kind of relationships.
Or if you're talking to a teenager, it'd be leave a voicemail for a teenager.
There you go. Yes. Yes.
I'm not gonna pick up that phone.
Yeah. But yeah, visit them in a
Yeah.
game, take them out to yogurt or something, right? That'd be awesome.
Yeah, small group plus with very articulate expectations.
I like that.
Yeah,
That's strong.
That's good. You guys, a lot of good stuff in this
fun.
small group leader
groups are
episode.
great.
They are
Small
great.
group show.
If you're not
There it
doing
is.
them, definitely explore it, because it can be a really powerful part of your ministry. So.
I like it.
Yeah.
And remember from Josh, discipleship doesn't matter.
Read more from milk2meat.com.
Anything you've learned.
If you've been discipled in any way, it was a mistake. We goofed. Let's just feed the megachurch stereotype. Okay?
All
Thanks
right.
a lot.
I didn't say it. Okay.
Hey,
It's all surface.
if
On
the
that
shoe
note.
fits,
On that note.
disciple
Dang
it.
it.
All right, let's
Oh
do
my
this. Let's say
goodness.
goodbye to episode 279. That was good. That's the
Adios.
small group leader
Here we
show.
come, 280.
And 280, we're gonna have new
Rich,
mics.
Equipment.
rich sound.
Come
It's gonna
on,
be so exciting.
right,
So
Josh?
there's 4
280.
microphones and there's like an arm. It'll look a little more like a radio show.
I can't wait.
It'll
It's gonna
sound.
be exciting, guys.
It won't look as good. It'll sound so much better.
I
That's
can't
all right.
wait. I
Nobody
can't
watches
wait more.
this anyway.
That's true.
Well, some do.
Well, actually,
Because Katie,
You said there's some
hundreds
great
and
people.
hundreds
Because of
and
Kate.
billions do.
I think
we're an
it's because of
award-winning
you.
show.
Yeah.
Before Jason joined us.
Since then, not so
Award-winning
much.
And since then,
This is kind of like a small group though, in a way, right here.
Yes.
It is. Bring it in.
Yeah, that's
Doug hasn't given me a phone.
Discipleship on 3.
All right.
All right.
See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.